on the first session of chapter 4 here on verse 11, Ezekiel, using the Message Bible here. Also measure out your daily ration of about a pint of water and drink it on schedule. Eat the bread as you would a muffin. Bake the muffins but out in the open where everyone can see you, using dried human dung for fuel. What? Does that sound tasty to you guys? What is God doing here, man? He's saying use, you know what dung is, right? Another word. It's another word for feces, human excrements, as fuel to make these muffins. Why not use propane, bro? Why we gotta go there? But God is saying do exactly that, man. Okay. I don't know. Sometimes God just, I'm scratching my head here. Why? God said this is what the people of Israel are going to do among the pagan nations. Well, I will drive them. They will eat foods that are strictly taboo to a holy people. Oh, I know why he said that. Okay, you got to read the next verse. See, that's the thing. You don't read the whole chapter, you're not going to know. You just read one verse, you're like, oh, nah, I ain't scratching my head anymore. He did that in 12 to mock these guys because they this is what they're serving the people. They're serving muffins that are pretty much fumes of human dung. Okay, they're not giving them sweet cupcakes here. We are the real sweet cupcakes. We're the ones, like Brother Marcus here and me. We are the sweet ones. Okay, the other ones are sour. Or they can, they're not happy that God is blessing you. You see that also in the church as well. I don't know why we see that in the church. We shouldn't be seeing that in the church. We do. So if a brother is being blessed of God, you should be like, congratulations, God's blessing you. But you don't see that in church. You see a lot of jealousy and envy. Also see a lot of, even sometimes, hate in the worst case scenario. Hate should not be in the church. Jealousy and envy, those are all forbidden in the scriptures. But yet you still see these things in the church. Okay? I've been involved in churches for about 20-something years. Since 1999, I've been involved in churches. Okay, do the math there. So I know a lot about the church. I also led a lot of church classes. I've taught college classes to college students. I was a college student once teaching Bible. Okay, so I know a lot about churches and the Bible. I'm not saying I know everything. I'm still learning here. Okay. But God, verse 13, God said, this is what the people of Israel are going to do among the pagan nations. Well, I will drive them. They will eat foods that are strictly taboo to a holy people. Oh, we read that already. I told you my memory's not as the same as it used to be. But I think God had me read that one more time for you guys because He's saying that that these foods are. How it says, don't eat food sacrificed to idols. Well, this is in a sense the same thing here. These foods are sacrificed to idols, pagan gods. We're not supposed to touch food sacrificed to idols. Okay, so if you go to a Buddhist temple. Okay, in the Buddhist temple, they have a lot of food sacrificed to idols. We're not even supposed to touch that food. Okay, because it's sacrificed to an idol. The thing is, that's the Old Testament. Okay, we're not in the Old Testament no more. We're in the New Testament. This is Ezekiel. This is the Old Testament. So in a sense, you can eat from a Buddhist temple. It's okay. Okay, but before the Old Testament, you're not allowed to. It could be any temple. This might be a Buddhist temple. It could be a temple of Krishna, a Hindu god, Vishnu, Taoism. There's all different types of philosophies and religions that these people do. But let's not talk about that today. Let's focus on Yeshua. Let's focus on Christ, okay? That's what I do on this side. I said, God, my master, I've never contaminated myself with food like that. Since my youth, I've never eaten anything forbidden by law. Nothing found dead or violated by wild animals. I've never taken a single bite of forbidden food. Alright? He said, I'll let you bake your bread over cow dung instead of human dung. What? Wow. Wow, that's astonishing. What's the difference? Is there a difference between cow dung and human dung? Is there a difference? Is there a difference between cow dung? Is cow poo-poo the same thing as dog doo-doo or dog poo-poo or human poo-poo? Is it the same? Is there a difference? I don't know, man. I think it's all the same to me. Then he said to me, Son of man, I'm going to cut off all food from Jerusalem. The people live on starvation rations. Wow. Worrying where their next meal is coming from. Scrounging for the next drink of water. Famine conditions people will look at one another. See nothing but skin and bones and shake their heads, and this is what sin does. I think that's it for Ezekiel chapter 4 here. Let's move on to chapter 5. Before we move on to chapter 5 here, I still want to talk about chapter 4 here. You know, the thing is, there's this thing where, so we pay taxes, right, in our nation, and in our nations, our taxes cover a lot of expenses, okay? So you give Uncle Sam, say you make, so for me I sell CDs, right? So if someone buys my CD for $15, I gotta give Uncle Sam probably $5 of that, $6 of it, right? $3 or whatever it is. That $3 or that $5 that's dedicated to the tax will help others that are struggling to get them back on their feet. Whatever that the money is, it's like a pool of money. Okay, some of us, there are times where we go through certain seasons where we need a little help here. So that's what it's good for. On the other hand, if Uncle Sam wants more than that flat rate, then that's not fair. But that's what seems happening. They want to rise our taxes here, but we'll talk about that later. And the Bible, it says, Jesus said, render unto Caesar's what's Caesar's, and render unto me what's mine. That's what the Lord said. So don't think that you're not supposed to pay taxes. You are. See, I've been paying taxes since I was 16 years of age. Okay? My Social Security number, paying taxes here still. So, a lot of people try to, use that verse for their own favor. Like, oh, wait, that's not Caesar. That's a different government. No, it is Caesar. It's the same thing. He's talking when Jesus said Caesar, he's talking about governments. That's a government. Caesar is the government. Okay, so yeah. Anyhow, let's go ahead and move on to the next chapter here. Chapter 5. Turning the page here. Chapter 5, Ezekiel. Now, son of man, take a sharp sword, use it as a straight razor, shaving your head and your beard. Then, using a set of balancing scales, divide the hair into thirds. When the days of the siege are over, take 1/3 of the hair and burn it inside the city. Take another third, chop it into bits with the sword and sprinkle it around the city. The final third you'll throw to the wind, and then go after them with the sword. Whoa! Retrieve a few of the hairs and slip them into your pockets. Take some of them and throw them into the fire. Burn them up. From them, fire will spread to the whole family of Israel. This is what God, the Master, says. This means Jerusalem. I set her at the center of the world, at the nations ranged around her. But she rebelled against my laws and ordinances, rebelled far worse than the nations, ranged from her sheer wickedness, refused my guidance, ignored my directions. Why are you so rebellious, Israel? Why? Why is Israel so rebellious? It's just rebellious. It doesn't want to follow God. Therefore, this is what God, the Master, says. You've been more headstrong and willful than any of the nations around you. You're refusing my guidance, ignoring my directions. You've sunk to the gutter level of those around you. Therefore, this is what God, the Master, says. I'm setting myself against you. Yes, against you, Jerusalem. What? What is... So what does that make sense that Jesus comes from Israel, and now he's against his own capital now? Does that make sense to you guys? That makes me want to scratch my head. I'm reading the Bible. I'm like, aren't you a Jew? Aren't you from Israel as well? But yet you're against Jerusalem. Okay. It's because Jerusalem has killed many prophets of God. They're notorious for killing prophets of God. Many prophets have been murdered by the hands of Jerusalem. Okay, that's why Jesus is against Jerusalem. I'm going to punish you in full sight of the nations because of your disgusting no-God idols. I'm going to do something to you that I've never done before. I will never do again. Turn families into cannibals. Parents eating children. Children eating parents. Because there's a famine now. You see? God caused a famine. They're starving. They're living on rations. If they would have listened to God, they would have solid meals to eat. Instead, they're living on rations. They're not even soldiers. Soldiers know how to live on rations, ration packs, okay? But they're not soldiers. They're just regular civilians. They don't know how to survive these jungles that God's throwing at them. In a sense, punishment from God is swift here, because now since they have nothing to eat, they're starting to eat their own kids, and kids are starting to eat their parents, vice versa. Can you imagine that? I mean, have you seen the movie Alive? That's a good analogy of the soccer players got stuck in the mountains. Their airplane crashed in the mountains, right? True story. The soccer players, they started to make a fire because no one knew where they're at, right? They started eating the dead survivors to survive in these cold mountains. Okay, that's a true story. It's called Alive. You should check that out. In the Bible, however, they're in the city. They're not lost like those people in Alive there. In Jerusalem. Jerusalem is being punished by God here, sounds like. Therefore, as sure as I am the living God, decree of God the Master, because you polluted my sanctuary with your obscenities. Your disgusting no-God idols I'm pulling out. Not an ounce of pity will I show you. A third of your people will die of either disease or hunger inside the city. A third will be killed outside the city. And a third will be thrown into the winds and chased by killers. Whoa! Whoa! Chased by killers, man. Killers! Yo, you want to be chased by a killer? I don't want to be chased by a killer, man. But this is what's going to happen if you don't listen to God here. In other words, chased by a predator. There's all types of predators out there on the streets. Only then will I calm down and let my anger cool. Then you'll know that I was serious about this all along. That I'm a jealous God. And I'm not to be trifled with. Whoa! A jealous God. God is jealous. When you're sitting there worshiping a stupid statue that can't do nothing for you. Some of you worship money. Some of you worship your house. Some of you worship your trophy wife. Some of you worship your music. Some of you worship your gold, your silver, whatever. God hates that. Okay, that to him makes him want to throw up. He's a jealous God. That's another idol. We got to compute idols around here. There's humans. So, say, I know some magicians who start a gospel right now. Now they got their millions, right? Now they ain't talking about God no more. Okay, they first started out gospel. Now I ain't gonna say no names. This is a recent, Christian singer, and got the contract now. Now we're gonna drop Jesus. We're not gonna talk about Jesus no more. Since we got the contract, now we're making millions. Why we don't got time for God anymore, man? God's gonna spit you out because of that one day. He's gonna, you might have fun for a couple of years, but you might have a fatal disease now. You might get cancer. You might get AIDS now. God works in mysterious ways, man. Don't trifle with him. That's what his word says in Ezekiel here. When I get done with you, you'll be a pile of rubble. Nations who will walk by will make coarse jokes. When I finish my angry punishment and searing rebukes, you'll be reduced to the object of ridicule and mockery. Turn into a whore. Story circulating among the surrounding nations. I, God, have spoken. When I shoot my lethal famine arrows at you, I'll shoot to kill. Then I will step up the famine and cut off food supplies. Wow. Famine and more famine. And then I'll send in the wild animals to finish you off. Your children, epidemic disease, unrestrained murder, death. I will have sent it. God, God, have spoken. Wow. That's it for chapter 5, man. God ended that note. Let's go on chapter 6 here. This is getting good here and juicy here. Good and juicy. Then the word of the Lord came to me. The word of God came to me. Son of man, now turn and face the mountains of Israel and preach against them. O mountains of Israel, listen to the message of God. The Master, God, the Master, speaks to the mountains and hills, to the ravines and the valleys. I'm about to destroy your sacred God and goddess shrines. See, God is not mocked. You cannot mock God with your stupid little statues. Okay, he's not intimidated by a 50-foot statue of Buddha or Allah. He's not mocked by any of those things. You're not going to mock him by making these statues. He's going to destroy them, according to his word here. I'll level your altars, bust up your sun god pillars, and kill your people as they bow down to no god idols. Oh man, God is delivering blow after blow, man. Like he's boxing this big guy, but it's kind of like David versus Goliath. Little David's just giving them haymakers, man. Like, Goliath's trying to hit him, but he can't catch David. Little David's too fast for him, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah. I'll stack the dead bodies of the Israelites in front of your idols, and then scatter your bones around your shrines. God means business, y'all. He means business. He ain't playing. He ain't playing with these fools. He had enough. He had enough of these Israelites. He said, you know what? You want to kill my prophets? You want to kill my people, my saints? I'm going to give it to you now. I'm going to give it to you. I'm not going to give it to you I'm going to give it to you upside down like you are. You're upside down. You're not straight up. You're upside down. Okay? If you look at the number 6, it's to mock God. 6 is the number of Satan. 6 is the opposite of 7. 6, you flip it over, is 9. That's another murder, another number for murdering God's saints. It's satanic. The number 6 is satanic. Okay, don't make no mistake about it. It's missing 7. You just missed the 7. 7 is the number of God. Okay. Speaking of 6, we're on verse 6. Every place you've lived, the towns will be torn down, and the pagan shrines demolished, altars, busted up idols, smashed up all your custom-made sun god pillars and ruins. Corpse everywhere you look, then you'll know that I am God. But I will let a few escape the killing, as you are scattered through other lands and nations. You'll escape the killing fields. Some of you will, just to tell others that God ain't to be played with. God will kill you all. That's what he's saying here. In the foreign countries where you've taken as prisoners of war, they'll remember me. They'll realize how devastated I was by their betrayals, by their ferocious lust for gratifying themselves in their adulteries. They'll be disgusted with their evil ways, disgusted to God in the way they've lived. They'll know that